So excited. I think I'm stalling because I'm so nervous and excited.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. Hello. Knocking at my door again. Begging me to come outside. Let you back into my life. Now, usually I'd be strong enough to lock the doors and keep them shut. But not today, I'm desperate. So go ahead and come on in. So go ahead and come on in. So go ahead and come on in. OCD is worse than ever, hands are bleeding. Maybe I should take the pills down. Know what's going on with me. Some days I actually think I might be schizo. Frantic, probably not, but even writing this is making me begin to spiral. Oh God. Made a promise to myself I wouldn't let the fear back in, but then I did though. Told the world that I was sick of running, then went back to running. What a joke. Disappointed, yeah, me too. I thought I finally made a breakthrough. Guess not. It's the same song and dance, you all seen it before. Darkness holds out its hand, then we walk to the floor. Every decision made isn't mine anymore. Like a puppet with strings, I just don't have a choice. What's the truth, what's a lie? Help me God, help me Lord. Face your fears, dry your eyes. Grandma died, what's the point? Lost the keys, lost my hope, lost my will, lost my joy, lost a friend, lost my hope, lost my faith, lost my voice.
This is deep.
Standing back, watching my mansion burn to ash while I hold the gas can, asking God if He started this fire. Is this what you wanted? Is this what you wanted? Make all my hopes and my dreams come to life just to lay them to rest. Is this what you wanted? Is this what you wanted? Give me a false sense of peace just to show me what peace really is. Is this what you wanted? On the verge, on the edge. Is this what you wanted? Petrified, scared to death. Is this what you wanted? Praying to God, desperate. Is this what you wanted? What you wanted? Is this what you wanted? Hanging on by a thread. Is this what you wanted? Empty heart, nothing left. Is this what you wanted? Breaking down, spiraling. Is this what you wanted? What you wanted? Is this what you wanted? Is this what you wanted? My bed. Is this what you wanted? To ash. Is this what you wanted? What you wanted? Is this what you wanted? The gas. Is this what you wanted? Is this what you feeling? Started. Is this what you wanted? What you wanted?
No way. No flippin' way. Oh my gosh. Oh.
Man, that was good. So good.
Oh,
You can
there's so
tell.
much to talk about.
Yeah, there's so much.
Yo,
He's always got these videos that are like movies.
I like freaking movies, dude.
So
Oh
good.
my gosh, I got so many thoughts. You know, it's funny because as we were getting ready to, as we said we were going to do this reaction, I'm like, God, this is going to be cool. You know, we're coming at it from the psychology angle, perfect for the channel. Two people passionate about therapy. And you know what? I might have to put this in the beginning, but my brain, I didn't even introduce or welcome you. I am so
That's okay.
sorry. I was so obsessed with getting ready to watch an F. And because we've spoken before, I was like, familiar face. But there are so many people who don't even know you. I'm so sorry, Clint. Y'all,
It's
we have
great.
a super special guest. I was so excited about an F, and I feel so comfortable just doing these reactions with Clint that my brain was like, let's start listening. Everyone, welcome to the channel, Mr. Clint Davis, LPC,
What's up, guys?
CSAT. Just, I mean, expert in the field. Tell us a second, for a quick second, before we dive into what just happened, who you are, what you do, and why you're here.
Yeah, I'm so thankful to be on here. Same thing. I didn't even think about introducing anything. I'm a therapist in Shreveport, Louisiana. I've done, an author, TED Talk speaker, been doing psychology for about 16 years. I have a practice with about 25 therapists that work with me and 3 different cities. And so I supervise them and also do restoration therapy for trauma and addiction and stuff like that. So, and I've loved your channel forever. And we connected almost 2 years ago
Yeah,
now
yeah,
and talked about some NF and some psychology. And
yeah.
so thanks for having me on. And this is exciting.
I'm so glad you're here. As I was watching this, I was thinking, you know, it's cool because I feel comfortable even enough just allowing myself to be vulnerable and watch this. But then I thought it's perfect because we're both, licensed therapist, me trying to work there and have worked as a therapist, both of us passionate about psychology. And so I thought this is perfect. We can explore this together. And at the same time, I found comfort thinking, well, if I do have a breakdown, I have a therapist right
That's right.
here. I can like walk me through. So it's this beautiful nuance between maybe, we can both look at this, therapeutically. And also I have like a safety net. So maybe that needs to be the title of the video. It's like, I don't know if I can handle this. So I have me a therapist with me to watch this.
Hey, these NF videos are tough, man. They definitely trigger a lot in us.
Oh my gosh, so much. Let's talk a bit. I want to hear your thoughts. I know there's so much. Let me find a good frame. I mean, honestly, even the end is so poignant. NF in his black attire that we know from his previous work, taking the keys, dude, the keys from Nate in the from NF in the white. A lot of symbolism here, but what's your first impression? What's the first thing you are feeling?
Man, the word he used in the very beginning, desperate,
Mm.
like that was kind of the thing that is different. He's saying, I don't want to let you in again. But yet I'm so desperate that I'm letting the darkness back in. And I think a lot of people, when they're desperate, they go to things that are comfortable, but they're not good for them. And for him, darkness is comfortable, the black is comfortable. Um, and staying in this space of health and healing, that's uncomfortable.
Ooh, that was very powerful, Clint. I noticed the word desperate, but I did not consider that. Because you're right, when people say I'm so desperate, the question would be, well, if you're desperate, why let in the thing that's making it worse? But
Hmm.
you said it exactly right. In that desperation comes the vulnerability, and that vulnerability leads to us going to what's familiar. And the
Hmm.
darkness is what he knows. You're right.
Yeah, we call it the shadow self, right? It's not our who we are. It's a coping mechanism that we've learned to deal with our pain.
Yeah.
And yet here he is going, man, I know this doesn't work. He's standing on the hill on the last album saying,
Yeah.
I'll never give up, and they're
Yeah.
arguing back and forth and hope. And now he's right back, like getting, the Spider-Man tendrils,
Yes.
the Venom looking kind of things
Yeah.
that are still hanging on to him and controlling him.
Yeah. I found it so powerful, the honesty here, because he's
Hmm.
taken us on this journey from the start with all the demons that he's battled and even parts of his healing, right? Where he is, taken steps to forgive his mother, where he's looked to hope, where he has an honest conversation about his struggle with being happy, right? Because as you say, he's more used to the darkness, but he's still trying, right? There's parts of redemption all throughout his story. And I could see people, I wonder if people are responding to this twofold. Some people that are going, yep, I get it, me too. And then those who are like, nah, man, you were supposed to have it figured out and lead us, into the promised land, out of all these mental health issues. And now you're back? Crap. Like, you're not supposed to be relapsing.
No, I see that being real. One of his slogans is real. And the reality is he's in a church and there's pews and he's back to kind of these roots of his faith. And the other thing I noticed that he hasn't said on an album, I don't believe, is he uses not just God, but Lord. Yeah. That's Jesus Christ in the Christian faith. And a lot of people believe in God. A lot of people use God, but rarely do they call Christ Lord. Yeah. And so he kind of says that in this album, which he's back in this church. And so it's the shadows coming for him in the church, and he's fighting for his faith.
I found it powerful that he was catapulted from this home that is so run down and messy, the mansion, right, symbolic for his mind and his mental health, but also a literal mansion that he's trying to make his home, but it's in a lot of disarray. It's not pretty, it's not organized, it looks almost abandoned, if you will, which may play into him abandoning himself, not caring for himself, and leading to that desperation. And he's now catapulted to the church where, the main part of the video takes place, and eventually catapulted back into that bare and depressing mansion. And I wonder if that's also symbolic for that cycle where we find ourselves back where we were previously. Just as, his shadow self, or the black clothed Nate is taking the keys from the guy in the white. It's again this cyclical, this pattern. And I'm right with you. I appreciate the honesty. I personally prefer this honest conversation because this reflects how it's been in my life. It was not all just uphill, maybe, a little bit of a drop, and now we're back to sailing. It's this constant, it's cyclical. Life is cyclical.
100%. Yeah. And if we're all honest, we all slip back into, what maybe somebody would call sin or struggle or difficulty or coping. We have different words for it. But the idea that you get to a place where you never struggle again, you never go back to these things is just not true.
Yes. Agreed.
If we're honest, the healthier we get and the more we see ourselves rightly, the more we can be honest with those we love about our struggles.
Yes.
When we hide them all, it's this self-fulfilling cycle that he's back in of like, man, I got to keep this all to myself and not share it. If you notice, he's all alone.
Ooh, very well noted. Yes.
Where's his wife and his kid? Where are they at in this situation? Where's his community? And he says, like, I've lost these things over time. And that sense of loss is probably some of the pain he feels that's bringing him back to the darkness.
What's wild to me is how that darkness is coming for him in that church, in a place where you would hope to be safe and where you would hope there's peace. And it's now taking over him where his hands are tied, right? It's this standoffish body posture, but it's more like when your hands are tied, when it's locked in, you're not safe, you're not open and vulnerable. And that black tar, these black tears are coming out of him. It's from the inside out. He's being consumed.
That's right.
It's not just something that's attacking him externally. He's bleeding these black tears.
Yeah, those are, in Catholic Church, that's stigmata, right? Like the tears of Mary that they say bleed from her eyes. He's playing on a lot of
religious symbolism.
Church religious symbolism in Christianity, which he's always alluded to.
Yes.
But he's being pretty strong with it in this video, which is very strong crazy.
With it.
Yeah.
I also appreciate that or it was interesting. I appreciate and I found it interesting when he spoke of, the peace, and he speaks about this peace I'm going to paraphrase in my own words, but I took it as this temporary peace that was not really the real deal. Is that what you took that from me so I could have real peace? And it was a play. It felt to me, it could be taken two ways, maybe a double entendre here, but I felt like it could be a play on these phrases we often hear, even in church settings. The obstacles and tests you're going through are only tests. This peace that was temporary, or this happiness that was temporary, is going to be replaced by the real deal. These concepts were often fed of anything that we thought was good but was ripped away from us wasn't the real thing. The real thing is still coming. Yeah. So I wonder if that's addressing that nuance that we sometimes hear, or is this him genuinely asking that question, saying, hey, is it possible you're trying to give me something more real than the fleeting peace I had felt?
Yeah, I mean that speaks to that's perfect. I mean that speaks to material possession, which is the mansion.
Okay.
It's this thing
Okay.
of like hope. Is my hope found in my stuff, in my mansion, in perfect peace?
Okay.
In this life, like no, it's we're gonna have trials, we're gonna have struggles. What the word that I think he would replace is maybe comfort.
Okay.
He's saying, I thought I wanted to be comfortable. I want all this pain I've been through. Man, I'm looking for comfort. But then I got a mansion, a real mansion,
Yeah.
and it didn't bring me any comfort.
Yeah.
I'm looking for real peace.
Yeah.
And from a Christian theology, suffering, dealing with difficulty points us towards Christ, which is our ultimate, he's called the Prince of Peace.
Mm-hmm.
So your identity is in Jesus, then you have a peace that surpasses all understanding, and even in the midst of struggle. So there's just a lot of real, like deep
Yeah. Yeah.
theology that he's talking that he's not
Yeah.
specifically saying,
Yeah.
but that his
Exactly.
lyrics make me think of.
Yeah, exactly. And I like that he poses it as a question, not as an, oh look, the temporary piece was replaced by the real thing I was supposed to learn. We're here, we've made it. No, it's very heavy and it's very dark. It struck a chord with me because even the washing of hands to me had double symbolism. It
Hmm.
made me think of another Christian element, right? With Pontius Pilate, I believe, washing his
Yep.
hands before allowing the crucifixion of Jesus. But it also made me think of OCD because he
Yep.
spoke of compulsion and he was washing his hands. And that part touched me deeply because I have,
Whew.
struggled with those, with compulsion before and obsessive
Same.
thoughts. And also, I have a dear friend who has experienced a lot of healing in regards to that. It was diagnosed with OCD, has experienced a lot of healing, but every now and then we'll still struggle and we'll fall back into those deeper holes. And I felt so much of that resonated because, like you said, it was this honest dialogue about, I thought, I was healed now, we were good, but I'm back in this place. And he's back to washing his hands and he's back to just being consumed by the compulsion, by this obsession. And he was addressing different mental health issues that I feel like different people can apply to themselves, and I appreciated that so much. I heard a lot of the OCD theme, but I feel like it's
Hmm.
applicable to depression, it's applicable to people with anxiety. Like, anyone speaks of schizophrenia, right? Am I schizophrenic?
Yeah.
It was just vast array of human struggles.
That's great. Yeah, I think what he's trying to point at is that those are all just symptoms of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
In our society, we try to treat symptoms instead of getting to the root. We just want to take
Yes.
a pill. He says that at the beginning, should I take some more pills? Like,
Yes.
what's going to fix this problem? But the problem is within ourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That we don't love ourselves. We don't believe in ourselves because of what other human beings have said and done.
Yeah.
And then he says, man, I'm holding this gas can, looking at God thinking, are you doing this? Did you do this? Have you just given me all these things
Yes.
to burn it down? So he burned the house down. He's got the can, and yet he's blaming God.
Yeah.
And so it's this like double entendre of
Yeah.
we have the choice to
Yeah.
make good, empowered decisions, and yet we make bad ones. But then when we make bad choices, we want to blame God as if he did it.
That's valid.
And,
That's
and
valid.
yet he is the one actually redeeming the thing to give us something better than just comfort, but real actual peace.
Yeah. I found it. I so loved the honest question back that he kept asking and that kept tagging. Is this what you wanted? And
Right.
speaking of losing his faith, like, man, that was so relatable. That was very relatable. Going through those dark valleys, and asking questions or experiencing doubt and a change in faith like never before, leading to
Yeah.
identity crisis. Like, I've experienced that. I'm still going through it, searching things and questioning things and my faith changing. And so I love the honesty here because I feel like that's not something people talk about enough. Like, you got those who completely put it aside. This is not for me. I'm not religious, or somewhere in some religion. You got those who are like fully in it and they'll want to have a spiritual answer for everything. How often do you find someone with this type of platform magnitude saying, God, where are you? Right? Looking for something bigger, but also being honest and saying, I have lost my faith and I'm
Hmm.
struggling, not painting a pretty picture.
That's right. The Bible doesn't paint a pretty picture,
Yeah, not a truth. They're crazy up in there.
That's right. Everybody but Jesus
Mm-hmm.
struggles with their faith and doesn't believe and goes back and
Mm-hmm.
forth. And so, yeah, it's a beautiful. I loved it, man. It was so good.
I mean, honestly, I would even say even Jesus was struggling a bit because in the Garden of Gethsemane, he did ask if you could pass this cup, please please no. And then he, accepted it and said, your will. But I think
That's
even
right.
he was like, do we really have to do this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point that people feel shame for being human. And the
Yes.
reality is Jesus in the garden, he wants to avoid that trauma and that terrible thing.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of avoiding it, he goes through it because he trusts that God loves him.
Mm-hmm.
And so avoiding pain isn't sinful. It isn't like you're not evil for avoiding it.
Yeah.
But if you don't push through the pain and do the right thing, then that's on you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Jesus, he pushes through that fear and that anxiety and the temptation
Yeah.
to fold. And because he knew God loved him and was a good father, he trusted his plan, even though it was going to be suffering.
Mm-hmm. I
I
think,
hope
yeah.
that for NF.
I think that relationship to suffering, that's a key phrase. I think you really said something interesting there because the suffering is relatable across humanity and we all have a different way of dealing with it. And I like NF's honesty here with having this honest conversation about it. But it does make you wonder, like, what is our relationship to suffering? Because none of us really want it. We all try to escape it in different ways. Some of us, we try to push through until we can't no more. Others, we're in denial of it. Here, it might be blaming God or going, is this what you wanted, right? I'm hurting. Why can't you fix this? So many different ways of looking at it. And so much symbolism. I mean, like I said, him putting the bag over his head, the banging against the door, him being in the church pews. I'm just trying to skip through just to,
Yeah, catching on fire.
let these catching on fire, right? Where he was teasing to the mansion being on fire. It's now him. And side note, like not even just to look at it from a psychological or philosophical sense, amazing videography. Amazing how his brand just rings true, how he just keeps having that red thread. His voice was beautiful in this. Absolute beautiful mix between his vocals. His cadence flow, per usual. I mean, I appreciate so much that he doesn't just have lyrics that are deep, but he really has skill. I mean, some of the way that he was breaking apart the syllables of some of these words and just riding the rhythm and breaking apart this literary art, I appreciated that so much.
Oh, yeah. He can break down a beat.
Yes. His beats are, and the whole tracks are amazing. Speaking of locking the doors, right? See all these webs, these spider webs on this door. It's just decay, abandoned decay. And it makes me wonder, just like you said, whereas his wife, whereas his kids, whereas his community, it makes me wonder what is happening in the mansion, in his mind, that allows this to happen. Because in order for spider webs to become to the magnitude that this is, or dust, it takes a while, right? Dust and spider webs don't appear like that. So maybe was there also a lack of maintenance and care that was happening that got us to a place of desperation? What do you think psychologically could have happened that we're back here? That doesn't happen overnight, does it?
No, I think there's parts of our brains. So we can either, like in Mansion, the original song, he's like going from room to room, and there, he's living in it. So there's no spider webs when you live in a house because you knock them down, they move around. They're not. It's not stagnant. But then he moved out and hasn't revisited, but he hasn't tended to it. And there's another verse that says you can if there's spiritual warfare, if there's demons and inside of you, if you clean them out, but you don't clean the house, then 7 times more can come back and revisit you. And as that's partly psychological as well. If we just change behaviors and manage the symptoms, and we don't treat the root, then we're just going to change it to something else. So somebody might get sober and not drink anymore and not be an alcoholic. But they're going to CrossFit for 3 hours every night and leaving their kids and their wife, right? One looks much better to society. It looks cleaner, but the reality is the internal is still problematic.
Yep. I was just talking to a friend about that, where I was like, just because, a person is abstinent from the substance of their choice in the past doesn't mean that they're not dealing with other addictions now, right? You got people that have moved away from the drugs and are not doing other things in an addictive way because of that underlying issue. Well said. When you say, and I know he even said that it's in his song that he had moved out, he had left. What does that look like psychologically? Because obviously we can't really get out of our head literally, but if the mansion is this symbolism for our mind, the room's part of our brain, our self, what do you think that looks like when you have a person who struggles mentally, who moves out of the mansion, is trying to find healing? If the mansion is still our mind, what does that, how would you interpret that psychologically?
Well, it's still, that's a very OCD type focus is that you get stuck in your head, right? You
Yeah.
ruminate on thoughts and on feelings. And I recently got to go to the Chick-fil-A retreat center in Rome, Georgia, where we worked on anxiety and OCD with a treatment called Stop, Turn, Slow. And it's literally figuring out where the trap is. What's
Yeah.
the lie that you tell yourself? I don't know what NF's specific lie is, but it's something about being bad, not being good, not being worthy of love,
Yes.
not being able to accept happiness because
Yeah.
something's wrong with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's all of us. We all struggle with feeling loved and safe. Those are
Yeah.
the two primary core issues that we all have. And if you don't find out where that narrative came from,
Yeah.
was it your dad's voice? Was it your mom's voice? Was it a choice you made that hurt someone?
Or all of
That's the
the above.
trap. Yeah, all of it. But that trap is telling you that your actions and behaviors or what you've been through is your identity and your sense of security.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
it's not. We're worthy of love and worthy of security because of our humanity, because God made us
Yeah.
in his image. And so what we have to do is say, hey, I have to stop ruminating on that. I have to ruminate on what is true.
Yeah.
What do I see in my life that tells me I am worthy, I am loved, I am, safe? And
Yeah.
that's why I pointed to community. When you
Yeah.
look at your family and your friends,
Yeah.
when I look at our relationship and I go, man, there's
Yeah.
somebody who's like-minded, who likes these
Yeah.
things,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
makes me feel known and seen and a part
Yes.
of community and connection. Well,
Yes.
then we ruminate on those things.
Yes. Yeah.
We meditate on the things in our life that are positive and good, and we replace the rumination of anxiety and fear. And over time, we literally can create new neural pathways. We can change the gray matter of our brain to where, yes, we struggle like in F here, and the darkness comes back in, and sometimes we participate in it.
Yeah.
But the majority of the time, we're doing well and we're staying healthy and we're not
Yeah.
ruminating on those things.
Yeah. So well said, Clint. That fear is taken over again. It feels like that's what this song is concluding with, right? There's so many more elements. Obviously, I feel like there's so many details, everything intentional, which is another reason why I appreciate his art so much. So much intentionality, is that the word?
Yeah.
But the song being titled Fear, I feel like clearly shows
good.
us that fear came back for him, where in some of his other songs, like in Intro 3, he was trying to bury it,
Yep.
was going to keep anger around, but fear had to go to the point. But even in Intro 3, he would say things like, I know you're going to come back, but I'm not going to have a room for you anymore. And now we see fear here banging at the door, coming in, his shadow self, like you said. And it ends kind of depressing in my book, right? It ends with he's knocked out. He's back where he started in that mansion. That's cyclical, right? When you feel like you're stuck in a rut, you can't escape. And it's fear that is now taking the keys. And that's powerful because in several of other NF songs, there was imagery of him being in a cage, right? The mansion being referenced in the music videos, him in the cage, those black balloons. And now we're seeing...
I thought I was holding the keys.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Yes. And now fear going psych and grabs the keys out of his pocket. And I feel like that was well done too, because it feels so violating. He's passed out and someone is stealing something. Having something stolen from you feels so violating. I had a car stolen from me one time. I was pregnant for the first time, and I was in a crazy situation. It was all a mess, and I felt far away from home and ashamed, and it was all just upside down. And more trauma was to come that little did I know. But my car got stolen. The very first car I ever owned, a Honda 96. And I get up to go to work and it was gone. And I had a lot of my possessions, journals and everything. Thank God most of it was restored to me. Because they found the car, and I didn't really even care about the clothing and whatnot. The taser was gone. That was the only thing they took. But my journals from when I was like 13 years old, multiple of them, I got back. And that was my most prized possession out of it all. But I felt so violated. Or another time, not that, anyone asked for all these personal stories, but another time I believe that I was drugged. I was at a concert. I was enjoying a little glass of wine, but I was not anywhere, going crazy with that. And I got very, very sick. And I just remember, thank God for a friend who was close by. I don't know what would have happened if she wouldn't have protected me and looked out for me. But I just remember talking to my sister a day or two after, being very emotional and upset, still very tired. I probably should have gone to the hospital. It was really bad. And she pointed out to me how that stuff will will affect us because it's a violation. It's someone putting
Yeah.
something against your will into your system. Again, I wasn't out there partying hard, getting drunk. I've done that too, so I could fully own those nights.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hold
It
on. Let me stop you there
Yeah.
because I think this is a really important thing because you're
Okay.
doing what people do.
Yeah.
Even if you would have gotten really drunk,
Yeah.
no one has a right to take advantage of you or do anything
Yeah.
to you. Even if a woman is dressed a certain way or walking a certain way, right? No one has a right to do something without your consent. And
Absolutely
so
right.
so that's that shame that this is exactly
Yes.
what's happening in the video, right? We
Yes.
we blame ourselves for some trauma that someone else did to us
Yes.
because we made bad choices.
Yes.
Well, those bad choices have their own consequences,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Getting drunk, you get headaches, you don't feel good,
Yup.
you don't take care of yourself, but you don't also deserve someone else to abuse you or take advantage of you in that situation.
It's so
Does that make
true.
sense? So it
It
helps us
does.
to go, hey, maybe I shouldn't walk down dark alleys, or maybe I
Yes.
shouldn't walk around with cash in my pocket. But that's a different conversation than did you deserve something like that happening to you without your consent?
I
And this
really
is something, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, 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 no. Go ahead. Finish your sentence. What you're saying
Oh,
is
I was just
good.
going to say this is super important. Like, I wrote a book called Building Better Bridges, and it's
Yeah.
teaching our kids about consent. A
Yeah.
lot of us weren't taught these things when we grew up.
Yeah.
And so we have these narrative and these messages about things that have happened to us that we continue to heap shame on ourselves when someone should have guided us and helped us to see,
Yeah.
okay, there were some better choices you could have made, and maybe
Yes.
you're responsible for these things, but you're not responsible for these things.
Yeah. I really appreciate you saying that, Clint, and reminding me, because you're right. I have that tendency to be like, well, but let me clarify. I appreciate you saying that. And I'm also very grateful because for our viewers, because I think that drives a lot of people. Yes, you're right. And it felt violating. It felt like, thank God nothing did happen that could have happened because I was in the presence of a friend who was with me
Hmm.
for the rest of the evening and made sure I got home. But it was these kinds of things, I say all these things as examples of situations where someone takes something personal from you or does something to you against your will. And that's what I feel fear is doing here. He is
Hmm.
on the ground, paralyzed, right? One of his songs is called Paralyzed. He almost looks paralyzed on the floor, and fear is reaching into his pocket. There is no, hey, by the way, I'm going to take your keys, or, there's no heads up, there's nothing. There's just
There's not a
taking it.
fight.
No fight. No fight. And that to me feels so violating. And I think that too is such a good depiction of what fear does to us.
Hmm.
It violates, it steals, it kills,
Yeah.
it consumes, and it just takes from you. And the worst part is that it's ourself. This is Nate taking it from himself, right? This is not an external robber.
Hmm.
This is himself against himself, which I think
Hmm.
is powerful too, because that's one of the things, and we'll talk about that when I'm on your podcast, but that's one of the things jujitsu has taught me, right? You're your own opponent. And that's been
Yeah.
such a powerful concept that I'm still trying to, in any regard of my life, trying to wrap my head around. The only person I am dealing with is me. And that's
Yeah.
liberating, but it's also like, dang, you know what I mean? The danger is not out here.
Yeah, it's really important for people to be able to hold two truths at the same time.
Yes.
One is let's say I'll use a familial relationship, my relationship with my father, let's say. There were lots of terrible things that happened in that relationship as I grew up that I experienced as really, really awful and terrible that I had a right to feel that were awful and terrible. But I also realized as I've grown that I participated in some of those things. I was young, I was naive, I was disrespectful.
Hmm.
So it wasn't all or nothing. So freedom, right, from fear comes when you can forgive. And
Mm.
forgiveness doesn't mean allowing damage to happen in the future, but it means like I see them differently. I see them, they made choices, I made choices. It's not all or nothing. And I think when we get in this space where it's all or nothing, black or white, the more pain we're in,
Yeah.
the more polarized we get in our relationships.
Yes.
People become others.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then the more we see people as polarized, the more destructive entitlement we get.
Yes.
So destructive entitlement is when we hurt ourselves other people to get the things we think we deserve.
Yeah.
And so fear, right? What are we afraid of? We're afraid of not getting the things we think we deserve. And at the same time, we treat ourselves like we don't deserve love and safety.
That's profound. That is very profound. Entitled self-destruction. Because I'm entitled, I think I deserve this, but because I don't understand that I'm loved, I'm not giving myself or allowing myself what I deserve. That's like that catch-22.
Yep. So how do we change that? Well, when we're afraid, instead of giving in, instead of freaking out, we take personal responsibility, right? We have faith that says, man, I am loved and I am safe and I can make good choices.
Yeah.
And then we have people in our lives who also tell us that about ourselves and encourage us.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean we're not afraid at times.
Yeah.
It just means that we act differently out of that fear.
Yeah. You know, it makes me wonder if things would be so much different if he didn't fight fear. You know what I mean? Because in a lot of his songs, like even in intro 3, there is this angry discourse. It's a back and forth. He keeps arguing with himself. And in the latest Avengers movie, The Thunderbolts, I thought it was so powerful that as the main character, spoiler alerts, if you haven't seen that movie, people, then pause here. Have you seen the movie? Because I don't want to ruin it for you.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Okay. And I won't give too much away, but the character at one point starts fighting himself, his shadow side. And at first I thought, yes, don't give up, fight for yourself. And then the crazy thing is that darkness, that shadow self started consuming him. And his friend, one of the other Avengers, picked up on that and ran. She was tied up by all the powerful damage he had done to her. Because he had pinned all these other people to the wall with his superpowers. He was stronger than them all. And together, again, relationship, community, they found a way to break her free so she could run and she could help this guy. And she realized that what was happening was that as he's beating his shadow self, it's starting to take over him. He was turning all dark and shadow. And so she runs. I'm going to start crying again. I cried when I saw it. And she runs and she jumps on his back and she just embraces him. She says, I got you. I got you. And the others free themselves from all their shackles together, and they jump in too, and all as a group are hugging him, saying, we got you, stop. And it was almost like that. To me, the powerful message was the answer wasn't fighting that shadow self, but embracing it and accepting himself. And understanding that it's not yin or yang, it's yin and yang. It's both and. It's like with Ren, what Ren said here in his High Ren. It's this dance. Now, that does not mean, okay, I'm just going to accept my sinfulness and act on it, but that means that there's grace in my humanity, that there's beauty in my humanity, that it's okay. And it's good. And I feel like maybe that's what the answer would be here. For him not to be so busy fighting that. What would happen if the Nate, the NF in white embraced the NF in the black tracksuit? What would happen if he held him and didn't fight him and didn't say, we're going to fight over who has the keys? Maybe it's okay that fear has a place. Fear can be a beneficial tool, right?
That's right. I call it the bunny or the bear.
Okay.
So if you're in the woods and there's a bear and you're not afraid, what's going to happen?
Well, depending on the type of bear, you're probably going to get killed.
Yeah, you're going to get eaten, right? If you see a bear and you're not afraid, you might go try to pet it. It mauls you.
Right, it's stupid. Yeah.
But if you're in the woods and there's a bunny and you take off running and leave your kids and your family, now we've got a psychological faith problem.
Yeah.
Because you're afraid of something that's not dangerous.
Yes.
So the question that an F has to figure out is what he's afraid of actually dangerous?
Ooh, that's good. Oh, that's good. That is so good, Clint. Yes.
Whether that's a relationship, whether that's men, whether that's stepping out and speaking, whether it's doing a podcast, if we're terrified of something, but we don't actually know what we're afraid of, and if the thing is either even worthy of fear, then we're just fighting with it or running from it or attacking it. Those are all negative coping that's just dealing with our pain in a really bad way.
Yeah. That's powerful, man. You're saying some good stuff, brother. This is awesome. This is so good. All of this is just so good.
Well, hey, thank God for NF and what the Lord's doing through his life, and that he can bring these things into a very secular culture. I mean, I love that he is able to do this and that we can have this conversation and see the undertones of theology and psychology. And I mean, he's obviously been in therapy. I say that all the time. Like, he's obviously doing his work and meet with a pastor and like having these conversations.
I appreciate the honesty here. Are you ready to dive into the next one?
Sure.
So after fear, we said we got home, right?
Yep.
That's the next one.
I think it's just music though, right?
I think this is audio. I think the next 4, Home, then Who I Was, Give Me a Reason, and Sorry, are all audio. And then the last one, Washed Up, is the next music video. So I'm going to get Home ready. And you ready to listen?
Yep.
This is an exciting journey. I'm loving this.
That acoustic.
Me too. The variety of his tracks.
Crying alone on the ride home, driving. Just got the text you died. This doesn't feel real to me. Trying keep my mind off it, but I can't think about anything else. It's killing me slowly. What's life without you? I don't wanna know. Goodbye, I'm not ready to say so. Fine, no need to rush, it's alright. I'll stop by tomorrow to say hi. We could play cards until midnight. This ain't the end, you're not gone. You just found a new place to go.
Love his singing voice.
He's really been working on it too. It's really, really sharp.
Comes and goes, hits and waves. One day I'll be okay, then the next I'm a mess. Walking down memory lane, reminiscing. Feels like it was just yesterday we were kids, running round in your yard out on M61. All the memories we made in that house growing up. God, I miss it, would give anything just to be there again. What's life without you? I don't wanna know. Yeah. Goodbye, I'm not ready to say so. I'll just act like you're here, call your phone. Oh, leave a voicemail and then text you to call me back later, it's fine. No need to rush, it's alright. I'll stop by tomorrow to say hi. We could play cards until midnight. This ain't the end, you're not gone. You just found a new place to go. Just found a new place to go. I'll just act like you're here, call your phone. Oh, leave a voicemail and then text you to call me back later, it's fine. No need to rush, it's alright.
Mm.
Oh, how does he keep doing this?
Uh, so good. I
What do you
mean,
think?
obviously, this one's about grief,
Yeah.
and it's interesting, man. It's so interesting. This is another duality that people have. Looking at this home, this mansion that's burning, but he said he would give anything to go back to that house with the good memories, with whoever this is that was younger, that he spent time with when they were little. So I don't know if that's a sibling, I don't know if that's a cousin or a friend.
Yeah.
Um, but that's the thing about it. It's like even in the worst childhoods and the traumas where he's, abused and he's neglected and he's abandoned, there are still good things that he longs to go back to
Yeah.
that now he's missing. And then the real theological implication is, but you didn't die. You just changed locations. You just found a
Yeah.
new home.
Yeah.
You're just with Jesus. Like that's our belief, is that we stop working, but we're going to get a new body. There's going to be a
Yeah.
new heaven and a new earth. And so we might miss them right now, but they
Yeah.
just found a new home.
I feel like there's such comfort in saying it like that. I wrote a
Mm,
song called, either I named it Home or Going Home, Coming Home. I think I called it Coming Home. I wrote that for he was like a spiritual father and mentor to me. I called him Heart Dad. Him and his wife, they were like my heart parents, this elderly couple
yeah.
back at my Bible college times. And they both have passed since, but I wrote a song for him before he passed, and his wife showed him before. And I love the idea of calling it going home. I think there's a lot of, even psychologically, comfort. Obviously, people find comfort in the idea of an afterlife, or in various ways of looking at the afterlife, reincarnation, heaven, etc. It brings people comfort to think there's more. But I love the idea of it being home, because I think even on this earth, we long for just that. We long for that cold mansion to be a home. We want, how could you leave us, right? Was this idea of the grief of home. The person that was supposed to feel like home to him, that couldn't because of her own ailments,
Yep.
the home that he never had and wished he would have had. It wasn't just her leaving as a person, it was everything leaving. The hope of ever having a home like
Yep.
that, ever having a healthy mother, ever having that. I think we so desperately long to be at home in this earth, in our relationships, in our actual house, and within ourselves, the actual home, the temple that we've been given. And when we are at war within ourselves, and we have a part of us fighting us, taking the keys, violating us, taking what is close to us, you're not at home, not even within your own mind. And I found it beautiful to say that, to say you're at home somewhere else now. Like you're safe, you're sound. There's so much comfort. When I lost my first baby halfway through the pregnancy, Melina, I really, part of the grief was, and among various things, part of the pain was worrying that she wasn't okay, that it was my fault, that she wasn't safe. And so this that I am supposed to protect, like that motherly instinct, you want to care for, protect your child. And I think there's a longing to know you have relocated somewhere else, you're home, you're safe, you're okay. I don't have to worry about you.
Right. Yeah. I'm sorry for your loss. Yeah. We lost
Thank
3
you.
babies during 2020.
Sorry.
And it was the same thing. I imagine a day. I saw a lady did a post the other day, and she said, "I'm going to wear sweatpants and tennis shoes because when I get to heaven, I can't wait to play."
No.
And it was just this like piece of going, yeah, there's more to life than just this.
Yeah.
This is not our home. It's our temporary home, and we want to act like we live here, and
Yeah.
we want to love other people and be kind and be comfortable here. But at the end of the day, going back to that suffering from the last song,
Yeah.
this is not our home. And I love how in Mama, he's asking her, has Jesus, have you
Yes.
met him? Have you walked around with
Yes.
him? Have
Yeah.
so it's that same maturity and growing and going, okay, this sucks.
Yeah.
Grief sucks.
Yeah.
It's painful. It's miserable. I miss you. I wish we could go back. I wish I could see you again. I'm just going to pretend like you're still here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. I'm just going to text you and call you and just pretend like it's the same. But I know you're somewhere that I'm going to meet you
Yeah.
later.
I love that. I also appreciate how he speaks about grief. He, in his lyrics, implied, how I took it, that grief isn't linear, that it's a journey. And
No.
in the end, when he says, it's all right, no rush, take your time, I felt like it was fitting, a double entendre again, fitting to him pretending he can just call that person up as if you were to tell a living person, don't rush, it's okay. But also a nod to what grief looks like. Don't rush. You don't have to rush grieving. You don't have to rush this hurt. I wonder if it was about his grandmother, because in his last video, this last one in Fear, he said something about his grandmother dying. And I'm trying to remember who, after he lost his mom, who raised him. Mostly his father, it says, after the parents were divorced. Mostly his father, it says. I'm trying to see if
I don't know
how much his grandmother was in his life.
It sounded to me, though, this was another kid he grew up with.
I did hear the kids. I did hear that we were playing together part. So then I started questioning my interpretation. I just didn't know if he meant like as in he was a kid and he was playing
for sure.
at her house.
Yeah, I could.
But it's true. It did imply that they were playing together. So maybe a peer, a close friend, or family member, like you said, a cousin or so.
Yeah, it sounded like cancer as well. They went and got the tests and things like that. And that's something that so many people struggle with is living grief. Is someone being sick with something and they're still alive and you're just actively grieving it while they're still with you.
Yeah.
That's something that's so tough for many, many people. I lost a brother-in-law to brain cancer. He was 26 and he left behind a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old. And it was really heavy and tough. And, we talk a lot about how loud heaven is with him there because he's just really loud and boisterous and funny. And think about those future things. And I can't wait to see those people again. But ultimately, right, I can't wait to see Jesus. I can't wait for him to throw his arms around me, much like we like NF to do with Fear.
Yeah. We
know that heaven is a place where we meet our Father for the first time fully, and there's no more tears, and there's no more sorrow, and there's no more pain.
Yeah.
I can see this. We can have hope in that.
Yeah. I'm sorry for your loss, by the way. I could see this resonating with a lot of my viewers also. I know a couple of people, Lurch and my supporter Lurch and an awesome supporter of the channel, Wiley. They have both directly experienced loss, and it's a lot of people in the community losing a spouse or a brother. A lot of hurting people. I feel like this song is going to really hit home with a lot of people. Because death is very much part of life, and it's heavy.
It's good stuff.
It is very good stuff.
All right. I'm ready for this MGK track.
I know, right? We got...
Who I Was?
Who I Was is next. You ready for that?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
Making content is hard. Filming, editing, growing an audience. But what if your existing...
Stuck in traffic, trying to find my way to a home that I've never known on a GPS with no address. So I'll follow my heart, but my heart is scattered like my father's ashes in the back of the rental after I drop his urn. Probably a metaphor for everything I've learned, like how the only love I'll have is gonna crash and burn, or how the poorest I felt was after the most I've earned. The biggest lie told is that no one should be concerned. There's gotta be another highway that don't lead to hell, a star to lead me through the darkest night like Christian Bale. I hid from God for more than 2 decades of life, and when I came back to the light, he didn't ask me if I'm Christian still, just opened up his arms and embraced me like I'm his son, erasing all the archetypes of what people like me become. Since I was young, my personality split like serpent's tongue, but all the poison in my body still ain't make me numb. I lost a best friend and felt all that, crying on his open casket while I knelt on that. I had a best man picked out for my wedding, but instead of getting married, I carried guilt and left all that. A vagabond that broke a bond for Boca Raton, who all along regretted he never kept all that. I left everything behind but this engagement ring and a frozen heart. I'm standing in the fire to melt all that, yeah.
Woo! Kitty.
Last show, need to take a breath and calm down. Try to regulate, don't know how. Wasn't taught that in my house. Kids on my own, I step back. Look at those smiles and feel sad. Hope they don't wind up like that. Stuck in this loop like I am. called you, never heard back. After everything we've been through, the good and the bad, you about to throw it all away and overreact. Because I overreacted, karma, I guess. My temper gets the best of me, a part of me that I wish I knew how to get rid of. It's the issue I had. My MO, say I need you and I love you to death, then turn around and go and treat you like you nothing but trash. I know I messed that part up. I know.
That's that cool.
I know.
That's cool.
Sometimes I
Back to
lash out, need to take a breath and calm down. Try to regulate, don't know how. Wasn't taught that in my house. Kids of my own, I step back. Look at those smiles and feel sad. Hope they don't wind up like that. Stuck in this loop like I am.
Wow. I am. Stuck in this loop like I am. And then earlier saying I was. I like that
so good.
linguistic play on simple present, simple past, and how that ties into our sense of self.
Mm-hmm. I was surprised by the MGK faith stuff, man. Like,
Yes.
he said I need to go back and look at the lyric, but he ran back to God and he didn't ask him, "Are you still a Christian?" He just threw his arms open and put his arms around him. That's literally what we were just saying.
Yeah. I think that was a neat double entendre because he's speaking of that openness to faith, and then also this grief part, right? Because he say something about him having to bury his dad, the open casket, and
They spilled his ashes in the back.
Yeah, the spilling the having the urn in the back, the urn in the back seat, and spilling the ashes and the open casket,
Which was a metaphor for his life.
exactly. And again, so fitting to this idea of that self-destructive behavior. And I appreciated how literal they went with it, the self-destruction and the brokenness of things, because they left that clip in where he said, "Yeah, I know I messed that up," and they kept going.
That was so good.
That was so good. It was so authentic, and it fit literally, almost showcasing us the brokenness, quote unquote, the humanity of this ain't perfect. This is not a perfect performance. I'm going to show you the parts where I messed up in, because that is exactly life. Those messed up, the ashes in my backseat, a picture of my life, the glitching in the track, right? And making for cool sound effects and musically speaking, but also fitting to this idea of something's glitching, something's broken. You know what's funny? Is that, you know how sometimes people will, at least the haters, I suppose, will either compare NF to Eminem. And I know that he was an influence to NF, I'm sure. But
Sure.
It's funny that NF has MGK on a track now.
I didn't even think about that.
Just because of MGK, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Kill Shot and what was the other one?
I don't
even remember.
I don't
MGK's diss, which shows the point.
Yes. And I thought it was also funny that MGK was rapping about all the, different personalities throughout his life, because I feel like that's what also people have been, not necessarily accusing him of, but that's what people have been observing about him. It's like trying to, take Eminem and then getting butchered for life, and then switch into all kinds of different genres, and people being like, what is happening with this dude? He is now making pop, now he's making rock, all over the place. And I think that was some of the love some people have for him, but also maybe some of the hate. So I wonder if that was a nod to, an honest self-reflection of how he's had different personalities, but even also, I wonder, a nod to people's feedback or criticism towards him.
Yeah, probably so.
But I like it. I mean, I prefer that. Who said we just have to have one personality all our life, or one style, or one, you want to box us in.
I think it's him admitting that it probably came out of a place of pain, that all of those different types and switches, and he planned on getting married, and that he lost that. And, those are places of pain. And so we try different things on.
Yep.
What I would hope for us is that the more we do our own work, the less judgmental we are of other people, because we realize we do the same things.
Yes.
We try on things. We put on masks. It might not be as extreme or as overt.
Yeah.
But the reality is that, man, when we're in pain, we do some coping that is not healthy, and that everybody can look at our life and go, why would you do that? Why are you doing that? It's so obvious to us, but it's not obvious to us.
This is spot on. I agree with that. And I do like the honesty of that too. But you said that well, that it probably came from a place of pain too, or even admitting it, that he's reflecting on the things that have impacted him. Okay, so far that was Fear, Home, Who I Was, and now, if I understand correctly, we got Give Me a Reason. And that's audio as well. You ready for that one?
Yep.
This one sounds darker, heavier again.
Yeah, enough with the love, I need to be hated again. I need somebody to wake up the beast and really get under my skin. I need somebody to push me, tell me that I ain't no good with the pen. I need somebody to poke and pry and really get into my head. I need somebody to laugh, tell me I'm trash, tell me I might as well quit. I need somebody to grab the blade in my back, stab and give it a twist. I need somebody to smash, break on my plaques, tell me I shouldn't exist. I need somebody to ask why you even rap, you never be one of the ay. I need somebody to brag and show me the cash and tell me you'll never be rich. I need somebody with stats and numbers and facts, tell me I ain't got no hits. I need somebody who's whack and ain't got no class, tell me I'm not in they list. I need somebody to act like I'm in the past so I can remind them I'm here. I need somebody to give me a reason. Whoa, give me a reason. Hey, give me a reason. Whoa, yeah, give me a reason. I forgot what that struggle like. I forgot what that hustle like. I forgot what that humble like. I forgot what that. I ain't forget about nothing to keep it 100. I'm honestly bored. I wanna feel like I felt when nobody was following me and I had no awards. I wanna get better hearing them call me. You wanna be shady, you ain't got no voice. I want the people that promise they'd always be with me to leave me and walk out the door. I want the fans to quit buying the ticket to tell me they don't wanna see me on tour. I want the label to drop me and tell me it's over, the music ain't making no noise. I want the critics to call me a gimmick and tell me they thought I was better before. I wanna hear you keep talking the way that you talking when no one's around to record. I wanna I want a story, I wanna hear about how you ain't feeling the music and why it ain't better than yours. I wanna yeah, tell me some more. I wanna hear about, I wanna talk about, I wanna hear that. I need some yeah, give me a reason. Whoa, give me a reason. Hey, give me a reason. Whoa, give me a reason. I forgot what that struggle like. I forgot what that hustle like. I forgot what that humble like. I forgot what that.
This track is fire, dude.
Mm-hmm. So good. You can't ever tell when he's gonna switch it up.
Yes. Oh, that was interesting. Was that like, did that sound like he did in the end, like he inhaled? Or was
He
that
inhaled or shushed. I don't know which one he did.
maybe. Were you asking if I needed a reset when I was adjusting the camera, or what were you asking?
No. I was saying that's what we just said. Was he was talking about them comparing him to Eminem?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yo, I didn't even pick up on that. I loved
Shady, he said.
Oh, I'm so glad you picked up on that. Yes, that is totally an Eminem criticism. I loved how, well, the track was hype. That was just fun to listen to, right? Lyrics aside, the lyrics really profound. But just as a track in itself, I love the diversity of this EP so far. We're going from intense and dark to more ballad-like and somber and grievesome, and the acoustic guitar on the last two, to now really going hard with the some of that trap and the hip hop and just going deep. But I loved how that even the synth or the keyboard or whatever it was in the end, it almost sounded like a push and pull. The doom, it almost sounded like this. It sounded like this, like almost like, when you give something resistance, you're going back and forth. And I felt like that was fitting to what he's saying here. Give me pushback, give me resistance, give me, where are the haters, where are the critique, the criticizers.
Give me a reason.
Yeah, give me a reason. What are your thoughts?
Yeah.
What did the first thing come to mind?
I love Let 'Em Pray. It's one of my favorite NF songs. And so it's a little bit like that. It's in that song, he's saying, you're praying on my downfall, let him pray. God ain't listening to you. And in this one, he's saying, man, I've gotten so comfortable with actually feeling good about myself. It was kind of easier going back to comfort. There's a lot of going back to comfort, going back to darkness, going back to this kind of person that I needed somebody to hate on me and speak ill of me. And that motivated me to move forward.
Yeah.
I would say that's that's kind of within that frame of darkness where it's like, man, I don't want to just be motivated by people's hate. I want to be motivated for the things I love and the
Yes.
things I'm encouraged by and the things that I enjoy. So even in that, you see his tension.
Yes. I agree. It made me think of two things. On one hand, I thought exactly what you had said after we listened to Fear, that it's because that's familiar. He wants to go back to what he knows. And it's fitting to what we saw in many of the other tracks, where even when he's trying to bury Fear, he's keeping anger with him because that's what got him there. Or Fear saying to him, hey, you wouldn't be nowhere without me. You think you're going to get rid of me? Right. And it's this conversation about that's what I know. And turns out, I guess it's true. It was fear. It was anger. It was my shadow self that put me where I was. And that's when things felt good. And so my mind was definitely going there in regards to what is a healthy versus an unhealthy coping skill. What type of constructs do we build up around our sense of self and who we are that become so familiar that we don't even necessarily realize how harmful they are, or they just are who we are, right? And that goes both ways. That goes with our shadow self. That goes with things that have been done to us, right? If my entire sense of self is built around me being a victim, then I may also have a harder time working through the pain and forgiving those who've hurt me, because that's who I am, right? And now, no matter which way you look at it, the things we've done or that have been done to us, our sense of self is built around if we over-identify with those things. My mind, number two, though, my mind also went to the fact that, as with everything in life, it is yin and yang, and we need resistance. And it makes me think of jujitsu. You know what I mean? It's part of it. You need something to push back in order to practice your moves, refine your technique. And so while on one hand, I'm thinking, this is not healthy, NF, you're not supposed to need the hate and the critics to succeed. At the same time, I empathize with it because I'm thinking, that is life. Without resistance, either from within ourselves or externally, we become complacent. We might lose our humility. We might not have fresh creativity, because a lot of times creativity is birthed in the face of opposition.
Adversity.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree that we talked about suffering in the beginning, and that suffering is where we grow, right?
Yes.
That if you look at, if you've been hiking, there's no growth on the mountaintop.
Yeah.
There are very little trees on the top of a mountain. All the growth is in the valley.
That's a good point.
And so that difficulty is where the growth is. And I think he's thinking about, like, man, when I was coming up and I had nothing and I had no reason and no motivation, these are the things that motivated me.
Yeah.
And so he finds himself, he says, I love that switch in the middle of the song. I love that voice. He does, kind of different voices, but the switch with him coming in, he goes, I'm really just bored, like,
yes.
I'm just bored.
Yeah.
And so there is a healthy level of, the haters, the people who are criticizing, and challenging yourself to go, okay, that's not who I am. Let me prove to them that that's not who I am. But if that's where you get your sense of identity, if their validation or even your own sense of validation is in disproving them, then that's where the cyclical thing, and this is what he says in the other song, goes round and around with the MGK. He was talking about the cycle of kids and passing these things down to our kids, and how he wants it to be different.
Yes.
Well, what I would ask NF, like, what would you want your kids to think?
Yes.
Do you want your kids to be motivated by the love and compassion you have for them and who you say they are? Or would you want them to be motivated by other mean kids?
Yes.
So why do good things? Why do hard things? Why be better? Is it only from the hate?
Yes.
Right? Or is it for what you're striving for and who you're trying to become?
Yeah. Very true. Very well said. It's still from a place of not having accepted yourself. It's always looking at that validation for or hate by something external. Very well said.
Yeah, you're saying lyrics. I can't remember the song right off the top of my head, but it's like, always looking for some validation. Oh, hope.
Yeah. Is it in Hope?
Yeah, he's talking about,
Yeah.
What is the definition of success?
Yes.
And so he's kind of falling back. Like in this, it's like not caring what other people think is what the definition of success when you're hopeful. Yes. But when you're afraid and you're struggling and you're trying to get rid of these things, he's going back to some of these kind of old, like, man, I need somebody to hate on me and pick on me and push me around.
Yeah.
And that'll be a motivator, and it will, but I wouldn't say it's the most healthiest motivation.
It's true. You said earlier, I don't remember which song we were reviewing at the time. You mentioned the word freedom, and that's so fitting because people were telling me in the comment section when I reviewed Let Me Go just yesterday. I released that one as a preparation for this, and they pointed out that that 7-letter word that we're looking for is freedom. And you mentioned that earlier. That word came up, and I thought that was so poignant. And here too, right? It begs the question: how free are you if you need someone else to give you a reason, right? If you're not free, you're chained by either the validation of someone external or their hate. It's the same thing in Purple, right? I'm either looking for approval or disapproval, but I'm still searching.
Yes.
I'm still searching. And it's constantly external,
Well, then we all are. We don't arrive, right? This
No.
isn't a criticism
Yeah.
of NF. Like,
No.
he's just talking about what it is. Like, and
Yeah,
as a
this is
speaker, as a
universal.
teacher, yeah, as us doing this podcast, like there's a piece of us who we want people to like it and we want people to accept it and we want people to talk about it and follow it. And
Yeah.
but the real motivation, right? The real healthy motivation is we want people to find freedom.
Yes.
We want people to
Yes.
hear these lyrics, hear our conversation, and that it will
Yes.
somehow remind them that they're loved
Yes.
and that they're valued and that
Yes.
they have empowered choices they can make.
Yes.
And they don't have to listen to the haters
Yes.
to motivate them.
Yeah. I think that you mentioned this in the beginning of our conversation, and I appreciate that. Accepting that it's both and, that it's okay to want the views, and on that note, people subscribe and like this video.
That's right.
and go check out Clint Davis's podcast and do all the things, or buy his books. Obviously there's nothing wrong with that, but
No.
that underlying motivator of saying, you know what, and also I want y'all to dance in the light. I want you guys to find freedom and to be willing to ask hard questions. That's why I think NF's music is so powerful, because like you said, this is no criticism of him. This is a universal phenomenon. We all do. And in the same sense, my encouragement to him would be, it's understandable that excites him and fuels his creativity, but the haters are going to come regardless. I know there's going to be people coming after this new project and going, oh, we thought he was going to do this or that, or this is nothing new. This sounds like the last track, right? There's always going to be haters, but
Yep.
let that not be what your sense of self is built on, because that will come
That's right.
crashing with every absence or presence of love or hate.
That's right.
It's just good. There's so many things he does that are like, it just gives so many reasons to, he gives me a reason to talk about it. Any other thoughts before we move on to the next one? What are you thinking? What are you expecting from the last two?
Man, I don't know. I'm enjoying it. I'm liking the range. I'm liking the difference. I like that they all are telling a little bit of a different story.
Yes. I appreciate you saying that. So far, do you feel like there's any red thread, or is this really all just different rooms of the mansion when it comes to mental health?
No, I think it's a red thread. I think we've been talking about it the whole time, which is my thread is always when working with people. There's really two major problems. Am I loved? And is there trust in my life? And that would be, love is about identity and trustworthiness is about safety.
Mm-hmm.
And so am I safe? Am I loved? Who am I and how am I?
Okay.
And so a lot of these lyrics, that's what it's about. It's like, who am I? Where do I get my identity, my sense of self from? And then how am I in the world? How do other people see me? How do I interact with myself and with others? So I love it. It's great.
Nice. That's a great way to bring it down to the root of things. I like that. We got sorry and then washed up. Sorry is another audio. All right, you guys, which is crazy too, by the way, because that's a personal word for me. I would tell people in some of my reviews that was a word I often struggled with because I said sorry so many times. And I would get on people's nerves, and then I would say sorry for saying sorry. And funny little side note, what really has been part of the healing journey in regards to that is I got to a point where someone said to me, this was in seminary, they said something along the lines of, well, so what if you say sorry a lot? Like, who cares?
Right.
And it was so liberating, and it stuck with me. I didn't quite, let go of my compulsion right away. But over the years, it got so much better. And it was the root of that was really, so what? Accepting myself. It was the not accepting myself that led me to say sorry for my saying sorry, because I said sorry to, be okay and apologize again to make sure I didn't now get on anyone's nerves. And this person just flipping that script and saying, that's fine, almost naturally allowed me to say it less, because that element of self-acceptance. came
That's
into the
great.
mix. It was such a cool new way of going, wait a minute. Yeah, so what? I'm not sorry that I'm sorry. You know what I mean? And by doing that, somehow it just naturally slowly heals because this element of self-acceptance comes in. And I wonder if that's
Yeah.
going to play into this sorry somehow.
Yeah. One of the things people do a lot in my office is they apologize for crying,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
Yes.
it's like, man, you're here to emote and have feelings and feel
Yeah.
what you feel.
Yeah.
And yet you're apologizing to me as if you're,
Yes.
causing me problems.
Yeah, it's true. There's that pressure of approval, of being safe, of keeping a certain face. It's that's what I love about NF's music. It is so real. It literally NF real music. It really is so freaking relatable. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Not just the title. I'm not saying sorry. With James Arthur.
Mm-hmm.
I crossed the line in broken oath.
Broken Oath.
Swore I would never let you go. Blamed you for things that weren't your fault. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, I wish that I'd have held you close and given you what you deserve.
This is different.
But that's what everybody says when it's too late to fix a bridge that's burned. That's burned. I've been waiting by the phone, just praying that you call me up to say you wish you would have stayed and never said goodbye to us. I'm not looking for a fight, baby, I just wanna talk to you and say I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've been the truth, I broke your trust.
Such a unique voice James does.
Mm-hmm.
Treated you like you weren't enough. Said I'd be there, but never was. But I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, I wish that I had held you close and given you what you deserve. But that's what everybody says when it's too late to fix a bridge that's burned.
I've been waiting by the phone, just praying that you call me up to say you wish you would have stayed and never said goodbye to us. I'm not looking for a fight, baby, I just wanna talk to you and say I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. And say I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. And say I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I like that. That was so different.
That was very different. I like that one too. The beginning almost reminded me of, and maybe my mind's just going there because I recently listened again, intro 3, or was it How Could You Leave Us? There was one of his songs, maybe more than one, that had a very similar chord progression in the beginning and that
Yeah.
soft buildup that I can't put my finger on which one.
Happy. It sounds a little bit like Happy, I think.
Maybe it was Happy. Maybe it's Happy actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it had a similar.
The beginning, it's like it's a
Yes.
very light, flowy,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
and
then
then the
it-
song was
Yeah, then it changes and it goes somewhere else. But that very first feeling, I'm like, this sounds interesting and similar. Still catchy, but maybe I wonder if that was done, intentional, or is it just that, just it works, the chord progression works to make it a catchy tune. It had a little bit of a, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh no, it was a very different song from him. I mean, he was really singing,
Yes.
really hard. He sings and it's beautiful and I love his voice, but he was really singing to keep up with James, is that who it is?
Yes, James Arthur.
Yeah. Yeah, James Arthur. To keep up with him, he really belted a couple of things with a different I'm not a vocal expert, but like a different
Timber almost,
strength.
right? Yes,
Yeah.
yes. A different strength. I think there was even there might have even been a run in there. I don't know if that was James's run that he did or if that was NF's. But yeah, I agree with you. A different strength. Sometimes almost like a grit. I thought maybe a couple of times it
Hmm.
was like that grit and maybe a little bit of a
Yeah.
just a different feel, different timbre to what I know of his voice. But you're right. You
Yeah.
said he's been working on it. It sounds like it because that was amazing singing.
Oh, it was great. Yeah. And I mean, it's just a classic. I think this is a good one on this album because it's just a kind of classic, like love song, relationship song
Yeah.
where you're trying to make up and you're trying to say you're sorry for the
Y-
things you've done. And you're just begging for that
Yeah.
forgiveness and that acceptance back after realizing you've messed up and done the wrong
Mhm.
thing. And
Mhm.
yeah.
It had a very James Arthur, of course. It had a very James Arthur feel because he was in it.
Yeah.
And their voices blended very well together. But it also had a very strong Ed Sheeran and Justin Bieber feel. Um,
Oh, yeah.
catchy, very radio worthy. I agree with you. Very different, and I agree. As I kept listening, I heard the relational elements for sure. The word "baby" made it really like this love song that you could hear on the radio, which is why my mind went to Ed Sheeran and Justin Bieber. But it also had me emotional because even those phrases of saying "I'm sorry," they said it with such intention. It felt, and maybe that was me projecting to a degree,
Yeah.
but it felt like it was sincere. It felt sung with force and sincerity, and it got me
Hmm.
emotional because it made me think of my dad and like wishing to hear those words,
Hmm.
that sense of, hey, I thought I had it figured out, but I got it wrong, or I was wrong in this and that regard. I'm sorry. It was a sincere apology, and I imagined myself getting that, hearing them sing it, and imagining receiving that.
Yeah.
And that can be healing, when even when you don't get apology, there has been reconciliation in the past and apologies, but then since there's been, more hurt, and it's I've been trying to practice that when I don't necessarily get what I want from a person, or I can't go back in time to certain situations, that I
Hmm.
can learn to give myself that through prayer and meditation, right? If I find myself in that place again, giving my younger self or myself what I would have needed, really allowing myself to realize I already have that peace or that
Ooh.
comfort or that acceptance is already here, versus obsessing over situations in the past and thinking if could only go back, and be chosen, then I would be fine. And instead, in this very moment, meditating, praying, and going, no, I already am chosen, and giving myself that mentally. But I digress. It felt like
No,
that.
it's
Does that
That's
make
so
sense?
good.
Does that make
Yeah, it
sense?
makes total sense. I mean, we want to be chosen. We want, especially from parents,
Yes. Yeah.
because that's their job. Like for
Yeah.
those who have kids, you look at your kids and you go, how could you ever abandon this? Or how could you ever not
Yeah.
love this? Or how could
Yeah.
when you have kids, you really have to start working through a lot of your own parent pain that you didn't
Yeah.
even realize you had until
Yes.
the things happen to you at the age that happened to them. And
Yeah.
you're wrestling with those things. So yeah, it's so real. I think that sorry just makes me think of forgiveness,
Mm-hmm.
and that a lot of people think forgiveness is restoration,
Mm.
and that can be part of forgiveness. But I think forgiveness for us is, recognizing what's happened to us, like really what pain is going on in our life, and what happened affected us, and then actually moving into putting ourselves in the other person's shoes and understanding why they did what they did to us and making meaning and sense out of that,
Yeah.
and then letting go the poison of resentment and unforgiveness.
Yeah.
That is freeing for us as people.
Freedom. That's where the
Yes, and
freedom
going
comes
and
in.
asking for forgiveness
Yeah.
doesn't mean we're going to get reconciliation, doesn't mean we're going to go back into people's relationships.
Yeah.
And if the only reason we're saying sorry is to get something, then we're not really sorry.
True. True.
So sometimes we've hurt people and that relationship, that bridge is burned, but we still have a sense of responsibility for our
Yeah.
own freedom
Yeah.
to go take responsibility to say we're sorry.
Yeah.
And if we never speak again or we don't have a relationship, that's okay. I'm at
Yeah.
peace.
Yes. Yeah. I agree with that. And I think that it was just powerful to be able to reframe that song however I needed it. Like in this
Yeah,
sense,
that's the beauty of it.
it sounded very much like a love song, but right that moment, and as soon as he said baby, of course, I'm like, okay, that's a different category. This doesn't fit anymore. But those words, sorry, I was like, let me receive that for myself, and give it, right, in my mind, in those imagined scenarios. I feel like that can be so therapeutic to speak it out loud, to imagine it being spoken out loud over us, and hearing them sing it out and pretending this was someone else saying it to me. It was just a beautiful thing to envision. And also, even though it's a very catchy, lovey song, I feel, because I always want to look through that red thread. Maybe there's none. Maybe he didn't intend one, but I feel like it could still fit because we've been on this journey from fear coming back in, and him going through grief, and him going through anger again and saying, wait a minute, I actually need the anger fueled by your criticism to keep me going. Now saying sorry, and maybe here also that double entendre of maybe it's also a sorry towards himself. Maybe there's parts of him that also understand, I'm sorry, and this needs to be a sorry to yourself. I think that's why we sometimes forget that relational apology, relational freedom is not just with the world around us, but within ourselves. To forgive you, to forgive yourself. That you need to get on the phone with you, and genuinely say, I am sorry, and I forgive me. I forgive you.
It's so good. So in the last song, well, in the song with MGK, one of the words he said was he needs to regulate himself, but nobody taught him how to do that.
Yes.
And that's part of this whole process that he's rapping about in this album, is recognizing that, we didn't get taught emotional intelligence. If we didn't get taught how to self-regulate, then we live our life expecting everyone else to regulate us. And when they don't, then we go to those dark selves, we go to anxiety, we go to fear, and we end up hurting the very people who didn't hurt us.
Yes.
And
now
so
we have to
we
say,
got to
I'm sorry.
breathe, we've got to regulate. And now, and we got to say, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
To our kids, to our wife, to our husband. We had to go, hey, look, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But real responsibility is self-regulation, not co-regulation.
Yes. That's very true. I like how you keep finding or hearing things and pointing out things that I wouldn't have thought of and shedding a different angle on it. That's so cool when you can, everyone hear something else,
Oh, it's so fun to do this together. I'm having a blast.
Good. I'm so glad. Thank you for doing this with me. This is it's a special one. I know the world's waiting, or had been waiting. We got Fear already has over almost 800,000 views and was just put out 14 hours ago. So these songs are going to go big and far. Okay.
Yep.
Are you ready for the last and the final one?
The Mansion?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder if I lost the hunger. Did my peak already happen, or am I still climbing? Is that passion that I had gone, or am I?
Wow. Oh my gosh. Some of his other tracks, he has the awesome choir in the background. I can't think of the which one right now. I think more than one. And here it almost, again, the choral elements, but almost like it was cranked backward a little bit, distorted backward.
Yeah, it sounded like that to me too. Sometimes they'll put that in and it'll be saying something that, you can't hear the front waves. Yeah, that was such a visually, so many elements of his other albums, Fear's buried, buried in the backyard, and he hits him with a shovel. And I think that's 3, intro 3.
Yep.
Yeah. It's interesting. He's in the black. So that technically is representing fear in this narrative.
Yes.
Where fear has found the map to hope and dug this grave, but it's kind of for himself, but yet the healthy NF or the hope NF was that his arm buried underneath there?
I'm not sure. That's where my mind is if this is fear taking over, but there's still a body in the dirt, wouldn't that be another fear? Or is that now NF buried? But the map to hope is blank, which fit to this idea of what is it? Am I at the end of my prime, or is the greatest still ahead of me? And then this fight with this being in that, the hooded being, is that Nate that was laying on the ground in the mansion, in white?
Well, I thought he was going to pull his hood off and he'd
I
be
was
in the
hoping.
white.
I was hoping.
Yeah.
Maybe, is that him? He woke up and he's coming back for the keys, and he is destroying fear for good, burying it for good, knocking it out, or was. I mean, because honestly, it's still all the same NF, right? As much as we want to separate his fear self and his anger self from the NF that is hopeful and striving to be happy, that's all one Nate. So regardless if Nate woke up and chose to put on the black, take off his white, and fully tap into his fear self and is fighting himself, trying to bury himself, no matter if it's still NF who is now hooded with the keys, destroying fear once and for all, I think that unclear who is really who plays well with what the lyrics were asking, which is,
Yes.
am I destroyed or is there greatness ahead? And that this hooded being, the fingers looking all black, not even like a glove, but like not a human hand, that it looked like some angel of death, some darkness, I feel was also fitting again, because behind a lot of this, I do see very human death anxieties and existential fears. Because I think at the root of all of this, both grief when someone else dies, both grief when a relationship is struggling and we want to say sorry, both our battle with our mental health, as we saw in Fear, in every single song, at the root of a lot of this turmoil we face, I believe, from an existential phenomenological standpoint, is our death anxieties, is this fear of the unknown. And we can find faith in hope, in God, in the afterlife. Some, they will deny that, or some will just try to defy death. Let me go crazy for as long as I can live. But death is terrifying, even with faith in the mix, because we still have doubt, we still have pain, we still have suffering, and faith and heaven and all the possibilities are still something we have to work to hold on to. Reality is a little easier to hold on to because it's tangible. And if this reality is in pain, that's all that I know. And it's so much harder than hold on to the invisible hope of glory versus going, but right now, things suck. And so my mind just can't help. And I know this is my own, the things that I've been interested in reading and learning about, maybe projected here a little bit. But I find it interesting that it's possible that those existential battles really come to show here. That question we all want to know of, is this the end? Have I reached my peak, and is everything else from downhill here?
Yeah. He talked about, I don't know if you have the lyrics pulled up, but
Let me pull that
if
up.
you could, he in the very beginning, he said something again about only relying his identity in his Father in heaven or something like that. This shadow thing burns the mansion down.
Yeah.
So it's this maybe integrative part of, if I accept myself for all the good and the bad and the struggle and the imperfections because my Father tells me who I am, then even that part of me wants to get rid of this old stuff. And there's no going back to a burned down mansion either, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. That's final. Your old news, a statement that makes me think retire. And I like that because, one could ask career-wise, what is he saying? Is this, him, the end of his career? Like we've wondered about Eminem with his Houdini stuff. Like from a career standpoint, you wonder, like, wait a minute, is this his goodbye? Is this his final hurrah? But I think, again, existentially, just spot on questions that we ask ourselves. One wrong move and career is dying. And, as he is dying, that not to worrying that his career is dying, can I revive it? Did that check the label gave me make me uninspired? Am I ignorant to think that I still got the fire? Yeah, I think very core existential questions, psychologically speaking, the thing we want to know. I can relate to that. I had all these expectations in my early 20s of
you
what
can't
I thought
relate to that.
I can. Oh yeah,
You
yeah.
must be as crazy as I am.
Say what? No, yeah. Sure. I might have you beat. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I can relate to that because, especially in my early 20s, I had no clue about life for real. Looking back, I thought I did, and I had all these expectations put on me, but also that I put on myself of what I thought I was going to be. And then I made certain decisions and things were done and I did things and life happened. And a big part of what I struggled with was that shame of feeling like I missed the mark. And I had this wrong, false idea of what life is, that it's not, that there would be plan A. And if I messed it up, then maybe it's B or C. And who wants to live out plan F for their life, right? We all want plan A. And it was this pressure of getting it right and then thinking that the climax of my life was done. That was maybe my time in seminary on the Holy Mountain, in Bible college, and that's when I was at my best and my holiest, and not that I was always holy, but it was this idea of, I had built this way of looking at the world, that was the peak of life, when I was not only at my best as a person, but in my holiness, in my purpose. And after that, the decisions that I made and the consequences that came with it, having missed the mark. And it took so many years to realize that, first of all, there is no plan A to life. Sure, there are better options than all others. Sure, there's things that are not ideal based on the choices we make and consequences. But there's no such thing as a manual for how life is exactly supposed to be. And that there's no such thing as just a plan A, that there's so many options, and because we've been given free will, and that's a beautiful thing, and that there can be blessing in a lot of variations, that there's not just one perfect anything, and it's what you make of it. So I can relate to those questions of like, is this it? Was that the time when I had reached the glory, quote unquote, when I did it all right and everything else is just downhill? I do think that's a very human thing, where we feel, in any regard, people deal with it with their physique, right? The wrinkles start kicking in, and it's like, man, I'm never going to be 20 again. And here go the death anxieties and aging. They do it with their career, right? We do it with our relationships. Oh my goodness, the honeymoon phase is over, and now it's like, wait a minute, what is this? I think it's so human to say, which one is it? Which NF is operating here? Which one is being buried? Which one is the one burning down the mansion? And is the mansion being burned down meaning full destruction? Is hope and happiness and a therapy really done for? Or is this a rebirth because we get to decide what that looks like? Maybe the mansion needs to burn? Maybe this isn't a bad thing.
No, I don't think it is. I think the mansion for him has been so much pain and so much angst and so much mental torture. And he's at this place where, he found hope,
Yeah.
right? He found in his kids and his wife and his new life hope.
Yeah.
And now he's 2 years out of that on the other side of it. He's got a little toddler running around like you and I have had. And he's going, okay, do I go back to these things? Because these are the things that got me to this beautiful place.
Yeah.
I don't really know what to do with
I'm bored.
it being good. And so many of my clients, so myself, when you get bored, when you're hungry or angry or lonely or tired, you go back to your stuff. Like when you're struggling with real human understanding. So going back to suffering, part of our society and the biggest problem we have is that we're trying to create a utopia in all areas. And we think that if we can just create perfection, that there won't be any problems, that if we get rid of all suffering and all difficulty and all strife, that, man, everybody will be happy. But that's not true.
That's true. Yeah. It's true that it's not true. Yeah.
Yeah. Like we can't create that. One, it's just a part of this life, which goes back to the hope of this next world, this next life, being redeemed, restored. One of the bad theologies out there is kind of, people think about heaven and they go, it's a place we're going to go. Earth kind of sucks and we just are getting through this and then we'll go to heaven. But scripture teaches, the Bible teaches that there's going to be a new heaven and a new earth here, and that we're going to be here together in community with actual peace and with actual unity. And that all the things that we struggle with and, depression and anxiety and fear, they're all going to be gone. And that's where our hope has to be. And so I hope that, NF, me, you, we all continue to wrestle and be honest with our friends and our communities and continue to wrestle. Because until we die, there's going to be things to fight and push back on and struggles. But the good news is that what Jesus did on the cross is that he made all these things possible. Dallas Willard has a beautiful quote that I love. It says, "Grace does away with earning, but it doesn't do away with effort."
Yeah, you still got to put in the work. Yes, I agree with that. And that's why I like how this ended, because it leaves it up for interpretation. This could
Yeah.
go either way. This could be a reborn NF who didn't stay passed out on the mansion floors, who got up and clothed himself in something new and took those keys back and finally buried fear and said, no, I'm done with this old sense of self. I've tried on the old shoes. I'm remembering and reminiscing the days that got me here. I know what it needed. It took this to deal with the violence. I needed the anger. I needed the fear to deal with the violence. Psychologically, that's a very understandable coping skill. When you've experienced abuse or domestic violence, or you were raised by an addict, or any type of trauma, we adapt certain coping skills. And so at some point in life, they might not serve us anymore, and they might need to be buried. But at the time, it was understandable that you needed fear, that you needed anger. And it's a blessing that it made him rich in the process, but he needed that to survive. So I like the honesty there, the self-awareness, even though he says he wasn't given those self-regulating tools and had to teach himself, that he is seeing and realizing that's what was necessary for survival. And also now evolving to a new place of going, but I am nothing without my father's guidance. I've done it all. I've been it all. Maybe I'm bored. Maybe don't know what else there is. I'm left now, having lived life. It also speaks of a maturity. It speaks of an NF who is in the middle of life. And I think I can relate to that part. We're no longer in our teens hurting and rebelling. We're no longer in our 20s angry and processing, sometimes still angry. But we're now in our late 30s and 40s with kids and in life, having healed to a degree, but still understanding, like you said, suffering will always be there. This is a cyclical thing. Excuse me. And that the mansion burning is really maybe another level of maturity where the questions are still very much prevalent. There's no easy fix of, but I know the best is yet to come, and my latter days will be better than the former days. There's no quick slap of fake hope or fake fleeting peace. It's this full circle back to fear. Maybe this temporary peace is going to be replaced by lasting peace. Maybe the new NF, or the thing that we can't quite identify because they never showed us his face, is that new sense of self. And we get to decide who this is. We get to decide. Is this fear that has taken over and is burning everything down? Or is this a reborn NF? And I think that's where maybe it helps that it didn't show us his face, because we get to put ourselves in that person and say, how are you going to frame this? Are you going to frame, are you going to story to yourself that fear has taken over and is alive again and is burying you, that anger is sitting down in that grave? Maybe that was anger that eventually, maybe it's anger that was burying, digging that grave that fear used to be buried in. Whatever emotion, it's all still the same person. And us putting ourselves into that figure, that faceless figure, and saying, we get to decide, who are we going to be? Are we going to hope and trust in a father figure that loves us and something greater? Are we going to burn a mansion down because fear has conquered, or maybe because fear no longer serves us, and the mansion, like you said, that caused so much harm is allowed to burn and set the world ablaze in a new era? I like that he ended with that, especially with the lyrics. The game's noose, eventually we all have to climb inside it, right? Again, that conversation in my mind about our death anxieties, our fears, the thing that's coming for us all, which is death. And that question of, who am I now? What's left for this next part of my life? Am I hanging on to something, or should I say goodbye? I feel like that's not just a conversation about his career, but also about the fear and the anger and everything that made him him. Which part of us do we take on with ourselves to the next part of our life? And then when he said, did my prime pass, or am I still climbing? Is that passion that I had gone, or am I? Am I? And then it goes back to the chorus. And I love that it ended on am I, because in the Christian faith, I know that God also speaks of himself as the great I am. But when it comes to psychology, I love that it's ending on, before it goes back to the chorus, it just simply lingers on the am I, because I think that's where so much healing is. Again, existentially speaking, to understand that we simply are, that we get so consumed with our jobs and our looks and what we have and our relational status, and finding peace in being, human being. I am. I don't have to so much worry about, is the passion here or is it there? I simply am. And then it goes back to, am I on the brink of something greater? Have I lost it? On the verge of making waves, or am I washed up? Beautiful play on words with waves and being washed up. But also, obviously a play on success versus being done for. And yeah, I don't mean to ramble on, but I just love that it really leaves it open. It leaves it open for NF to decide, and may have to decide every day from now on, what does he want it to be? Like you said earlier, that empowerment to also go, you have the power. You get to decide what you want your life to do, what your story is going to look like. That was a lot. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
it's so good. No, it's
Yeah.
great. I mean, I love what you're saying, and it's right on with the rest of the album and all
Yeah.
of the things that we've heard from NF to this
Yeah.
journey. I mean, it's such an interesting artist that we've got to watch him for how many albums now? 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Just really grow as a person, as a therapist.
Yeah.
This is the reason I reached out to you originally, is just listening to NF. I mean, and watching him each album grow and go through therapy and really do the work of figuring out his identity and his sense of security. You see that development in the lyrics, you see that development in his story, and you see that as he centers himself on who his father is, there's forgiveness, there's reconciliation, there's hope.
Yes.
But this album is about, yeah, all that's real, all that happened, it was great. And there are these mountaintop moments where we kick fear's butt and we kick anger's butt. And then there's life.
Yes.
And there's going to be moments where we fail, and there's going to be a constant tension and battle
Yeah.
until that time where we're home,
Yes.
until we're fully home
Yeah.
with our Father who loves us and cares for us. Until that day, there's not complete rest and complete peace.
Yeah.
We will have to continue to fight our demons and our shadow selves and
Yeah.
learn to integrate those things.
And
Because some of the things, like you said, that we're ashamed of were things that saved our lives.
Yes, yeah, that were
Those
necessary
coping
at the time.
mechanisms.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
necessary at the time. Yeah,
But we've got to give those up.
yeah, that there comes a time where they have to be buried too, and then that is okay. No need to rush, like he says in what's the song about the grief? Not sorry, not give me a reason. The one that was so focused on grief.
I thought that was home.
Home, yes, thank you. In Home, how he says it's okay, no rush. There's such comfort in that, in also having people, I hope, that are watching and listening to this, understanding that their journey is going to be on their timeline. Where NF is now is not going to look like where other people find themselves. Some people might have to sit with fear a little longer. They may have to rewatch that and sit there and analyze that a little longer and understand that it's okay that you're hurting, that it was violating what fear has taken from you, what the people that have hurt you have taken from you. It was painful. What anger has done was painful, even though it served you, even though it was beneficial as a coping skill in the face of wanting to survive. And everyone's going to find themselves in a different place of this album. Maybe in the grief part of Home, maybe in the part of processing who I was. Even in that song, I believe the conversation was who I was, and then it said who I am. And now here in the end again, in Washed Up, saying who I am. It's this constant conversation of who am I? And asking, searching, even like he says in Washed Up, that was part of what brought him here. He was constantly that search for who he is. Search for himself, search for hope, search for his mama. I mean, it brings me to tears because it's so relatable to every single human on some scale, in some shape or form. We're all searching for peace that's not fleeting, for a home. We're searching for protection from fear and anger. We're searching for answers to who am I now? After
we're wanting to
go
stop
ahead.
cycles.
Yes,
Well,
yes.
a lot of us are saying, man, I want to stop these cycles. And he's saying, yeah, if I go back to these old things, I see it on my kids' faces. I see their pain. And I just hope they don't turn out to be like me.
Yes.
Don't we all have that? We all want our kids to have a better life than we had.
Yes.
But if we don't love ourselves and accept the love that God has for us, then we can't expect other people to treat ourselves better than we treat ourselves.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's not this hokey self-love.
No.
Where it's like, I'm amazing. It's a real look at our struggles and our difficulties and accepting grace.
Yes.
Grace is something that we don't deserve, and mercy is not getting what we deserve.
Yeah.
And we get both of those in the Christian faith. And so that's what I love about NF stuff, is that he's not overtly spitting scripture. He's not saying, Bible verses. But the reason it resonates with people, the reason that it's universal, is because it is from in my opinion, a particular faith background. And so I hope that people listening to this, whatever faith and background they are, that they can find that regulating truth in their belief system, and they can find peace, because in the reality of this life, there will be struggles, there will be trials,
Yeah.
and we need community, we need each other.
Yeah.
And if we don't work out of a foundation of peace, then we just work out of a foundation of pain, and we
Yes.
just perpetuate all this crap on to generation after generation.
Yes. I appreciate you pointing that out with the lyrics that spoke on seeing it in his children's face. Because that too, yes, another great example of the cycles. And maybe that
Yep.
figure in the end was the father figure because he spoke about I'm nothing without my father's guidance. As dark as that creature looked, maybe that was supposed to be symbolic for something stronger than all of us. A father figure that says, and that's gonna make me cry. Shoo, a father figure that would stand up and say, I'm gonna cloak you. I'm going to burn down every broken mansion of your mind. It could be taken so many different ways. Is this a
Hmm.
divine being? The father figure is a nod to that because of the lyrics that said I'm nothing without my father's guidance. I need something bigger. Is this, like I said, an F himself taking decisions, or is it all of the above? Because I think those things go hand in hand. Like you said earlier, there's grace and then there's also effort. And those things are two things hands in hand. A belief that there's someone that loves you, that is bigger and more powerful and capable. But there's also power and understanding. And all of that is also inside of you. If we really are breathed by the star breather and children of God, then that power lives inside of us. And to say, you know
Yeah.
what, you're allowed to burn your mansion down. Not literally, people. Please don't set your houses on fire and then blame me. but,
Rosalie said to
yeah,
burn my house
Rosalie
down.
said burn my house down. Insurance claim, file it. It's not going to work. Please don't burn anything on fire. Don't try that at home. But the broken parts of our mind or the old parts of ourselves that don't serve us anymore.
Yeah.
Like I said, in the face of those existential questions of who am I? Is this it or not? And I think that's something that can be worked out through therapy too, of course, and through relationship, back to full circle fear where he was alone in that mansion. But that's where I think we need relationship and to keep coming back to the here and now. When we feel like, well, is this the pinnacle of my life? Are my golden days over, career-wise, physically speaking, in any regards? And instead realizing, no, I'm alive.
Never over.
It's never over. This is not, to anyone watching, you guys, if you resonated with that question of is my prime, my glory days done? Was that it? My encouragement to you would be that if you are still breathing, your days are not over. Your day is right now. You are
That's
alive.
right.
And you are allowed to choose life. And you are allowed to decide who you want to be. Because you are loved,
Hmm.
you are more than enough. There's a reason why we say things like dance in the light and choose life. That's not just a random phrase. That is an encouragement to you to step out of the shadow and to be honest, to accept yourself, all the parts that make you you, but to understand that you're not broken or too far gone. Your glory days are not behind you. They're right now. And I hope that even what we shared today speaks to you. Make sure that you guys go check out Clint Davis's work, his book, his podcast, and let us know in the comments, by the way, before we wrap up, what song you liked most, what spoke to you guys. Subscribe and talk to us a little bit. What stood out to you? What did we miss? What does NF's music do for you guys? I'd like to know.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Rosalie, for having me on. And yeah, guys, if you want to look at our stuff, you can go to Asking Why is my podcast. That's the YouTube, and we also have iTunes and all that stuff. And then if you go to our website, it's clintdaviscounseling.com. You can find us at Clint Davis Counseling on Instagram and Facebook. And we talk about a lot of these things: mental, emotional health, spiritual health. And our whole goal is to just help people get healthy, connect people in their area to good clinicians and pastors and churches, and just make the world a better place. So I appreciate you guys listening to us talk about this stuff and process this stuff. And Rosalie, I always love your light and your energy and
Thank you, Clint.
just who you are. You're an amazing person. And I appreciate the time that we got to spend today.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being on the show today.
I give a shout out to NF if he wants to come on the podcast with you and me and let us
Heck
pick his
yeah.
brain about some stuff. He doesn't do interviews very often, but I would love to get his actual firsthand account of some of this healing and some of this hope that he's been putting out to people for years. And that would be just a fun thing to do. Appreciate you so much and appreciate everybody listening. Please, listen to our stuff and like our stuff and subscribe to our stuff, because there's more of this kind of thing behind it. And I can't wait to read the comments and see what you guys got out of it.
Agreed. Make sure to subscribe, you guys. We will see you on the next one.